2020 pushed the boundaries of our comfort zones in lots of different ways, whether that's politically or professionally or personally. And moving into 2021, if you're looking to either build or expand on your success as a design firm owner, sitting with and stepping into that discomfort is going to be the mark that separates the successful from those that aren't. Let's talk about getting uncomfortable this week. Stay tuned. Giving architects and landscape architects the tools and strategies to be seen, heard, and valued in the marketplace, and telling the stories of leaders building thriving design firms and attracting their ideal clients. This is From Architecture to Profitecture. I'm your host, Jay Krakowski. Let's get started. Fellow and future Profitex, hello, how are you? Welcome to the show this week where we're talking about getting uncomfortable to get ahead. That's right. Sitting with, taking on things that we are not used to, things that may be new for us or new to your firm, maybe even new to the profession or the industry. That's what we're digging into this week. And as an aside, if you're watching live and you hear a bunch of beeping, of course, there's a tree crew right outside my house as I record this. So we've got skid steers beeping, logs falling, chainsaws running, but the show must go on. So appreciate you being here with me. Yeah, we're talking about getting uncomfortable, and those that choose to do the things that aren't comfortable, that aren't the norm, are going to be the ones that succeed. I know that the word new normal has been tossed around a heck of a lot this year, and I'm curious to hear about what your quote unquote new normal is, above and beyond just adding remote work or Zoom calls as initial meetings with clients or FaceTime to do site visits. What has been your new normal, and what challenges have you learned to overcome? What challenges are you willing to take on in the new year? And I wanted to throw some things out there. I wanted to challenge you on some different ways that you might be able to push outside of your comfort zone in 2021, things that will help you not only be a better practitioner, a better business owner, but can also lead you to success. I'm going to go through 8 or 10 things here that I'd hope you would look into and try to challenge yourself to add into your firm's planning for the coming year. First would be getting published. Now, do I necessarily mean in traditional print publications? No, not at all. This could cover any forms of media. Is there a viewpoint? Is there something that you've been wanting to say about the way your industry works, the way that a client interaction should go, a way that you see relationships changing or should change in terms of suppliers, manufacturers, contractors, and the design professional, that you want to get out there into the world? Well, this is the time. This is the time to take a stand and to let your opinion be known, potentially in the written word, but also maybe through video, maybe on a podcast as a guest, and I'll dig into that in just a little bit here. But having a published piece of work, not just relying on our portfolio pieces, on photographs of the built work, rather getting your opinion and your point of view out there on paper or on digital media, as it were. If that's something that you haven't taken on, let the voice of your firm, let your voice be heard and be pushed out there into media, because it's going to make all the difference when potential clients see A, that you have a point of view at all, and B, that it's a potential strong point of view. It will narrow down that pool of potential clients, but those that align with your values and your beliefs are going to be much more apt to work with you. So along those lines, let's talk about online video. Let's talk about live streaming, as I'm doing here now with you, or documenting your thoughts, maybe your designs, maybe your process on video, and uploading that to YouTube or to any other social media platform. Online video it's ubiquitous, and the gap between those firms, those professionals that take on online video and don't, it's ever widening. I can't remember the exact stat, but it was something like for 2020, the company Cisco, a big giant tech company, said that something like 80% of web traffic is video. And I don't know about you, but I probably spend a little too much time on YouTube, following different creators and different design professionals that I like to watch. But those that can start to lean into the medium of online video are going to have such a leg up on your competitors in your market, and or you will start to make a name for yourself in your industry or in your market. So online video would be a big one that I would challenge you to look into. Now, do you need to go out and spend thousands of dollars on a new camera rig? Do you need to hire a full-time editor? No, you can start small. You can start with your phone. You can start with a number of free apps, and I've got that in another YouTube video on my channel at Jake Krakowski. There are plenty of free apps that you can use to start to learn editing, or you can hire it out for really not that much money, and I'll get into that later as well. But I challenge you to look into online video, and brainstorm how can you incorporate that into your design firm's marketing, or simply onto your website, or maybe onto your social media presence. Related to that would be the world of podcasting. Now, do you need to go out and start your own podcast? No, you don't. I think it's a great way to get your point of view, get your opinions out there, especially if speaking comes naturally to you, or slightly naturally to you. I know, speaking for myself, I'm more on the introverted side, but when I'm simply sitting here with a microphone and I've got an outline of what I want to say, it's easy for me to throw a 10-15 minute thing together, and that's all you need. I have a long list of podcasts that I happen to listen to on a weekly basis, and the majority of them go for 45 to 60 minutes. That's not me. I can't vamp by myself for an hour. When I have a guest on, that's easy. But you don't need to make a long podcast. You don't need to make a saga of it. It can simply be a thought pops in your head, and get it and open the voice recorder on your phone, for Pete's sake. You don't need to have a sophisticated setup, and you could start publishing yourself that way. And on the other side of the coin there, reach out to the podcast that you listen to. If something that they have said has resonated with you or has triggered you, let them know. Start to share your opinion there, and there might be a common ground where you can come together and be a guest on their show. And the fact that you were a guest on a podcast is something that should go on your social media, is something that should go on your website. That logo should go on your website. When you can show that you are featured in different kinds of media, no, it just doesn't need to be the big TV networks. You don't need to have the NBC Peacock on your website, or you don't need to have Forbes or Entrepreneur Magazine necessarily listed on your website. They all start to stack up. As you are featured more and more on different platforms, again, either as a host or as a guest, you start to put those icons on your website. It shows credibility. It's called social proof. It starts to build immediate credibility. When a potential client or a collaborator, potentially a contractor, sees those logos on your website, it immediately elevates your status in their mind. Even if it's subtle, even if it's unspoken, it does. These things add up, and they really start to make a difference. Even as uncomfortable as it might be to go on and be interviewed. My first interview was with Mark Arlepage of the Entree Architect community, now a part of Gable Media. And I got to tell you, it was not comfortable at all. Even though it was just he and I on a Zoom call, and he was recording the audio, being interviewed for the first time, and that was at age 41. It was uncomfortable, but it really broke the ice for me to be part of other podcasts, and eventually to start this show. Now, I was on YouTube before that, so I was used to just talking to a microphone and camera by myself. But all these little icebreakers, as I'll call them, they all help you to build that confidence, not just in sitting down with clients. That was easy. That's been easy for me for for a long time, a long, long time, to be able to sit with a client one-to-one and work through the details of a project brief, and then the details of the project itself, and then have contractors help when needed to get the actual documents done. But jumping onto media like this, like online video, like in a podcast, it's a whole new skill set. And just like when you started off in school, you didn't know what the heck you were doing. And when you started that first job out of school, you kind of didn't know what the heck you were doing. You learned and you built your skill. And if you've decided to make the jump to owning your own firm, you didn't know everything that you needed to be doing either. But you had a basic skill set, and you jumped out and took the uncomfortable step to do it anyways. And you learned year over year, month, quarter over quarter, to become a better design firm owner and leader in your profession. So podcasting is a big one. That's why I vamped on that for a while here. The next would be, what about creating continuing education or speaking at a conference? And yes, I know many parts of at least the States are back in lockdown again, and who knows what will come the first half of 2021. But with so many conferences and events online now, it's even easier. You can sit in your home office and be a conference speaker, not just an attendee, but someone who's presenting. Now, are there technical skills that you really love to talk about, love to share? Are you willing to put those into some sort of package and submit them to AIA, submit them to ASLA, submit them to whatever other organizations you feel might be worthy of, doling out continuing education credits? And that's something that you can add to your repertoire. Again, you can start to detail them out on social media or on your website, and that gives you that level of expertise. Again, when a potential client comes to you and they see that you have spoken at these 4 conferences, or that you are a creator of such and such seminar, webinar, course, whatever it is, your status is elevated immediately in their mind. It makes such a big difference. Next one is talking about revenue streams outside of the traditional business model of architecture, landscape architecture, whatever other area of design you might be practicing. Are there alternate revenue streams that you've been thinking about? Whether that's prepackaged plans or spec sets or material sets, or are there, can you be a coach to other designers? Can you be a coach for contractors on how to work with a design professional? Are there ways that you can start to sell your expertise, sell your services that aren't just the traditional design process, design business model? And what do those look like? Are there products that you want to create? Are there physical items that maybe don't exactly relate to your design firm? Maybe it's just a passion of yours. It's a hobby of yours, and that can be creating revenue for you on the side. And now maybe you utilize the resources of your design firm to make those products great or better. But is this something that you can start to incorporate into your 2021 plans, where it's above and beyond just providing design services, something that incorporates a passion, a hobby that you have that's going to make running the business all that much more fulfilling? Here's some uncomfortable things. Hiring. Have you been doing too much on your own, or is your workload such that you could use some help? Now, that doesn't have to be a full-time employee necessarily. That could be an outside contractor, a virtual assistant, some sort of other service provider that can start to take things off your plate to make you, yes, more profitable, and give you more time to pursue any of those other interests that we talked about. That'll give you time to brainstorm and write and record that podcast. If you're anything like me, I'm guilty of having done way too much myself for too long. I love to learn how to do things. That's including setting up the online videos I'm recording right now, or recording and publishing this podcast, or how to build structures. Heck, I've scraped popcorn ceilings, I've laid irrigation, I've framed walls, I've done anything and everything around my house you can think of. I've done it once, There are many, many things I will never do again. But in terms of business, are there things that you've been curious to do? Again, whether that's recording and editing video, or doing your books, or any other things that come along with promoting and running a business that you just don't need to be doing anymore. And is there someone that you can hire? Is there someone you can hire so that you can fire yourself? Fire yourself. Look at all the things that you're doing in your business that you have been doing through 2020, and start to generate a short list of things where you can fire yourself from them and you can outsource them. And I know that that's a control issue for a lot of us. It certainly is for me, has been for me. Letting go of control. The true leaders in business, at least in our industries, are those that don't try to do everything themselves. Certainly, there's a team behind them. And again, whether that's a full-time team or a part-time team or on a contract basis, there's a team. If you want to go, what's the quote? If you want to go faster, go alone. If you want to go farther, go together. I believe that's an old proverb. But learn how to fire yourself would be a big thing that could be uncomfortable if you're in 2021. Or if you've got too many contractors, or maybe you've got staff that you've been really whittling things down so that you can keep them. Is it time to let someone go? And that's not always the easiest conversation, especially when it's kind of uncertain financial times in terms of projects and jobs. But that might need to be the thing that you look at to not only keep things going in 2021, but to make yourself more successful, more profitable, is to get a little leaner. So hiring and firing are definitely two big ones. And I want to leave you with a quote before we wrap up today. You must be willing to do the things today that others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow that others won't have. It comes from Les Brown. I think that's really, really poignant, especially as in year end and with the slew of goal setting. I'm sure advertisements, at least online, of planners and goal setting workshops and seminars and videos and all this good stuff to plan for the next year. It's time to what 2020 has helped me, and I think it's helped a lot of us to take a step back and look at what's really important. What's really important in our lives, what's really important in running a business, now that the vast majority of us have had to vacate our offices for at least some period of time. What's really important to us as business owners and as people, and 2021 should be no different. Let's take stock of everything that we are doing, but also everything that we could be doing in our firms. And if some of those are making you uncomfortable, well, I would challenge you to turn the boat in that direction. That's where you need to be going, because that's what's going to lead to growth. That's what's going to lead to your future success as a firm owner, as a Profitect. Thank you for joining me. If you would hop over to Apple Podcasts and leave me a review. Love to hear how you have enjoyed the show so far. And if you've got things that you want to see covered on the show, send me a direct message at Jake Krakowski on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram. And until next week, go ahead and make it a great week, because our success is inevitable. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you stay up to date with future episodes. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn at Jake Krakowski. And for show notes and much more, visit profitecturebydesign.com/podcast.